Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So this is the second video and I'm so excited. I was on Pinterest the other day when I found this reference image for this cute little cabin. It was very, very cute and it really inspired me to make this beautiful little house. This was one of those times where I had this concept, I ran with it, and while I was making it, it just really developed into something else. Namely, it became Granny and Grandpa's house, or Grandpa and Grandpa, or Granny and Grandpa's house. I, in the end, decided I was going to make it an old fisherman's house, someone who had, retired, and he was living his retirement, his best retirement life. And he had grandkids and he was just relaxing and having a good retirement after many hard years of work at sea. I like the idea of making quite an understated house, something that you could easily see, your granny or grandma living in, but a little bit quirky, because the man who lives here is a little bit quirky, a little bit different. There was once a fairy tale that I used to like hearing a lot when I was a kid, and it was about this giant, and he had this big garden, and he was really, really kind, and he would allow the local children to play in his garden, to pick fruit, to grow up in his garden. The neighborhood children knew him, and then the one day there was this crippled boy and he was being made fun of by the other children in the neighborhood. And the giant grew so angry that these people were so cruel to this cripple, because he thought that he had taught them that even if someone's different, they're still worthy of love and they're still a human being. And he decided that he wasn't going to allow anyone in his house anymore. He wasn't going to allow them in his garden. He was going to allow them to pick his fruit. So he basically locked all of them out. And years went by and his garden, he tended to his garden. It was still as beautiful as ever. And the crippled child came back and said to him, just because somebody's hurt you because they didn't know better doesn't mean you can lock yourself away from the world forever. And I know it's quite like a hectic fairy tale for a young person, but it was it really stuck with me. And bringing it back to my build, it sort of reminded me of this friendly old fisherman, a little bit grumpy, but he is really well loved by the village children. And there's this beautiful CC tree that I downloaded, which has these little swings on them, and I thought these children could come and they could swing on the swing and they could have a beautiful time in his garden and the surrounding lake, and he could maybe teach them how to fish and tie knots. And I really like that idea. I like the idea of a wizened old man being the protector of the children. So that was sort of the idea I had with this build. I really enjoyed building this one. I guess it's because it's nearer the type of house that I really enjoy building. It's sort of old-timey, sort of fairy tale and cottagey, which I really enjoy. So I struggle a bit with the modern builds, but I really enjoy making cottagey builds. So I think I'll definitely do more of them in the future. Maybe I'll do a whole neighborhood in one of the empty worlds of just little funny colored cottages with funny little people in them. I really enjoyed the feedback on my previous video. There was some really lovely comments, and it really made my day to see that my build had such a positive impact. That was really awesome. I actually saw, after I built this, I had already built it and my girlfriend was editing it, when I saw that LILSIMSIE, the other famous Kayla, had also built the exact same reference image, but her house was purple. And I was a little bit peeved about it, but I know it was probably not intentional. But yeah, there's a conspiracy theory now. I was trying to find the specific roof for a while. I think I eventually got it right. I was trying to find the exact shape of it, trying to get the dimensions correct so that the it was as accurate as possible. It ended up being, it looks strangely unspacious from the background. It looks really small. I guess it's like the looks can be deceiving kind of thing. It's massive inside. I mean, I think it was a master bedroom, and then 2 spare bedrooms. I think it was 2 spare bedrooms. Yeah, it was. I made one of them into the grandchildren's bedroom when they would come over, and I made the other one into the bedroom for the parents, or just a general spare bedroom. And so it was 2 bedrooms, a main bedroom, and a ensuite main bathroom, and a actual main bathroom. I really enjoyed making this build because I guess I had someone in mind for it, and it sort of felt like I was creating this little world for this character. And we'll see later on I make a cute little reading nook, because I have an idea that this fisherman didn't have a lot of time to read when he was on the boat, and maybe now he's decided he's going to read all the books in the world. All the books in the world that interest him. Just living the best retirement life, obviously. Life of leisure. Besides that, I was so impressed because in this reference picture, which you've obviously seen, this red I think it's called siding in America. We don't really build in South Africa. We don't really build with that kind of wooden siding. Our houses are made of bricks or stone. But this wooden siding in the picture, I got almost the exact same red that was in the picture, and I was really happy about that. And it even had the little white finishing on the corners, which I was really happy about because I couldn't find the correct pillar to sort of emulate that, and then I didn't end up having to. So here I am trying to there's these spandrels, I think they're called, corbels, but they were in the original reference image, but I couldn't work them out for some reason. If anyone knows how to work them out, please leave me a comment in the comment section. I don't know how they work, but if you do, please let me know, because I'd love to. Just even linking a video on how they work would be great. The back of the house, I hate people in real life, even people especially, and this is a joke I make often, is that in countries where like there are hurricanes or there's a lot of natural disaster, the houses are built really temporarily. They're very cheap to make. So there's always this joke in these memes that I laugh at, where the American houses are built really beautifully from the front. I mean, they look immaculate, and then from the back it's just terrible. It's kind of like that meme where it's like the sources I use for my academic essays, the ones I reference versus the ones I use, and it's like that man with a business clothes on the front and he's naked in the back, assless chaps. That's sort of how I view some American builds. But this siding, as I was saying, I was trying to make the back of the house look really nice because I wanted to do a sort of fire pit, maybe a little recreational area, somewhere for the grandparents to sit with the children, maybe while he's teaching them to tie knots or how to skin fish or something cool like that. In the background there is a little lake. It's really beautiful, and I was sort of thinking, should I build this house in near the sea? Should I build it near a lake? What should I do? And I decided that for someone who had been fishing on the sea all their life, maybe they had got a bit tired of it. Maybe they wanted a body of water that was a bit more of a reflection of how they were now. So I thought maybe a lake would be a little bit easier for this old man to deal with. Shame. And obviously people fish in the lakes as well. So maybe he could carry on fishing, but more for himself and for his dinner table. When I renovated the inside, I did keep in mind that, this was an old person and their tastes are more old. So I didn't make it super modern or trendy. I just made it sort of homey, comforting, comfortable, something that you could curl up in with a good book and just really rest. In one of the rooms, there's this bed against the window, and it looks so comfortable. I can just imagine curling up when it's raining outside and just reading and being really comfortable and falling asleep. But as I said, I really enjoyed building this build, and especially because in my head I had this little old man with his yellow raincoat on and his dog, and there was this picture. I think this is where it got me started on this idea. Was when I started renovating the entrance hall, there's this picture from Brindleton Bay that I find. And it's this old sailor with a little ginger cat on his shoulder, and it was the cutest thing. And I had to build the rest of the build around it. I could not. I struggled with the door because I was trying to fit it in with the style of the build, but I also wanted to remain true to the picture. So I do end up finding this beautiful door. It's not stained glass. You see me trying to switch through the swatches, trying to find if there was one with stained glass, but there isn't actually any, which is fine. But it was a really beautiful door, and I think it fit really well. Trying to put eyelet windows in everywhere, just to jazz up the outside. As you there now in the background, you could see the beautiful lake. I decided that I was going to do not too much of a big garden. I thought, this is an old man. He probably doesn't have all the time in the world to be gardening. He probably gets tired quite easily. And also he's probably not really interested in it. There is a bug that keeps taking my terrain paint off. I exited and came back the next day, and all my terrain paint was gone, so I had to redo that. And I was actually quite happy I didn't do a big massive garden, because I would have had to do all that terrain paint again, which I would not have been happy for. Here's the tree I was talking about with the little swings. I thought it was really beautiful. Because in base game you do get that wizened old oak tree. I think it's called a twisted oak. But you don't get it with the little swings on it. So I downloaded that CC content. I can't even remember where I downloaded it from. I think it was from Pinterest. Pinterest is actually a really good place to find and download CC from. I didn't expect that, but it is. I'm trying to find trees that fit in with the rest of the surrounding area. I wanted this build to really, and most of my builds, I try to use plants that are in the area because it feels more real to me. It feels more realistic. And here we see some wildflowers, which would also be indigenous to the sort of foresty area. I will say this, I do really enjoy the light in The Sims 4. It's so realistic, it's so warm. I enjoy that light comes from a certain direction. It's not just from every direction, which was in the previous games. And the best thing for me, and it feels like such a weird thing to say, but the best thing for me in this game is when you put a window in and the light moves across the floor, and as the day changes, I love that. It's really beautiful. I think it's the small things that really make The Sims 4 for me. A lot of people like earlier games more, but I really enjoy this game the most. And I think I was struggling with the flowers for the front because I didn't want it to look too hardcore, like you would have to garden in every day, but I also didn't want to look like you didn't put in any effort. So I ended up with these sort of bramble-like bushes, something that would maybe naturally grow and self-sustain itself. Because I can imagine he probably made a garden that would naturally just look after itself with minimal efforts, which is definitely my kind of garden. And while I'm busy building, I'm referencing a few pictures. And I really enjoyed these CC rocks that I downloaded because it makes a sort of a border for the gardens that I make. So there is a sort of a border, which really finishes it off and makes it look neat. And I do need to stop saying I always say that when I'm speaking. And at the side here, I'm trying to figure out how these unkept bushes, but that looked a bit tacky, so I thought, what would naturally be in the area? What could we naturally put there? And I can't remember what I end up deciding on. It was wildflowers. I ended up just putting some wildflowers at the corner where the sun hits in the afternoon, so it would naturally grow there. I do end up moving this beautiful beautifully laid rocks that I end up doing. But I do end up moving this swing to the front of the yard, because I think it would make more sense that the entertainment would be in the backyard and the swing set would maybe be in the front, so the children that come by, they could see it and they could enjoy it and not feel like they were invading the old man's privacy too much. Not that I think he would mind. I think he's a sweet old man. And along this path, that was a difficult one, but I ended up just doing the most of the garden along this path. I do try to use these flowers from, I think they're from the camping pack. I can't remember what it is. They're from the camping pack, but I decided they're a bit too cookie cutter, so I end up using this bramble-like bush. I think I actually got that from the debug menu or the live edit objects. And they really fit well. I think they're a really cool asset, actually. I hope I put a post box in. Oh, I do put a post box in. That's good. I didn't end up forgetting that. I try not to forget things like that, like the post box and the bin, because when you eventually do play with it, it's extremely hard to try and fit it nicely in the build. So I try and incorporate it from the beginning. And off screen at this point, my girlfriend says to me, you should put a tree in there. So I do end up putting a tree in that corner as maybe a baby tree, one that's not fully grown yet, because all around him you see there's these massive big trees. So maybe that's a tree that he just planted, or he planted when he moved there, that he hopes will go big and strong one day, so one of his grandkids can live there and look after it and remember him. I love doing sort of family style builds. If you have any build ideas, by the way, if you have any errors that you want me to do, or any images or specific builds, please let me know. Send me a DM on Instagram if you have a picture you want to send me, or message me on here or in my email. Just let me know if you have any ideas you want to see me do, and I will definitely try my best. I'm up for anything, basically. I love a good challenge, but I also want it to be something enjoyable for you guys to watch. One of my favorite things, again, it's all about the lighting in The Sims 4. One of my favorite things is to put the lighting on, because it really brings a house to life. I feel like then it looks realistic, because realistically you would have lights. I mean, your house wouldn't be completely dark in the middle of the night. I don't commit to those lights. I eventually take them out. There we go. I'm taking them out right now. I don't commit to them, as I saw. I thought they were a bit too much. And I'm just putting a back porch on. I like the idea of the dog. You know, the imaginary family I've made this for. The dog, the big dog that he has, maybe sleeping on the back porch, looking after him, protecting the old man. So when I in the second part, when I furnish the house, I do believe I put some animal bowls, either some animal bowls or a bed out there for the dog or the cat at this point. I think I'm still struggling whether it's going to be a dog or a cat. Actually, I'm just remembering now, I put a dog and a cat bowl out. So I think it's a dog and a cat. So the dog would maybe sleep outside on the porch in summer, and then inside obviously in winter when it gets cold. But I think I'll make a dog with quite a big coat if I do eventually make a family. Let me know. Do you want me to make a family for this house, an old man and his companions? If you do, let me know under the video. But hypothetically, they're still in my imagination. The dog would have maybe quite a big long coat from being used to living on the boat with the old man, and finally being retired and enjoying his retirement with the old man. Oh, here I'm putting in the dog bed, a bit of a preemptive strike, just to remind myself of my ideas. I do that sometimes. I put a single object in a room. I wish there was more sort of fishing memorabilia in The Sims 4. I wish that they had some like fish hooks or something cute like that we could put in the house for him. I'm putting in 2 bins. I do that with all my builds, and I didn't do it with this one, but I normally make them 2 different colors because I like to pretend that in The Sims they're recycling, looking after the planet, the Sims planet. And I moved the swing the little tree with the swing to the front yard because it just made more sense that the kids might want to play in it, and it's more sunny, so it just looks pretty. And then I just moved the beech trees to the back. The beech tree is actually one of my favorite trees in real life. I really like the way that the leaves sort of go when the wind brushes through them. And as I said, the terrain paint will probably gone when I open this file again, which is annoying, but it's fine. I try to keep it simple so I can just redo it when I have to open it up again. And I'm going to do a little entertainment center in the back. I'm not sure at this point, I'm doing a sort of a log entertainment center, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to go for rustic but I imagine that the old man maybe made this himself and was really proud of it. I'm just putting in a little entertainment area. I love this little bird. It's a CC content bird feeder and a little wind chime, something that maybe his grandchildren put up for him to remember them by. That little CC bird feeder, I don't know if it's functional or not. I haven't actually used it in gameplay yet, but it's really, really cute. And I wanted to do a sort of more natural looking entertainment area, so I got this little fire pit with these little logs, maybe from the area that the old man did himself, as I said before. And we're nearing the end of the build now, so thank you so much for watching, and please like and subscribe and leave any comments or suggestions down in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.